All right, everyone, just a few more hours Blueanon, or days, or weeks, or nobody really knows what the hell is going on. The Trump indictment circus continues. We've got a little mini roundup here to talk about, actually. There's too much news to just focus on one particular subtopic under this header, because there are too many subtopics to actually have. I'm going to have to expand my live stream later, probably. My apologies for not live streaming yesterday, just the schedule wouldn't permit it. First, we have the House GOP, of course, weighing in on Alvin Bragg and the legitimacy of the Manhattan DA's probe in and of itself. Now, a lot of people have been, there was a community note. This is where I first saw the story, ironically enough, as opposed to because it was on news headlines the other day. Before that, there's like a miniature civil war happening right now. For those of you who don't know, Twitter has a thing called community notes that I'm part of now. And basically people can fact check or add context to posts on Twitter. And the process is messy, and it is extremely partisan, and it is frequently abused. Just to be clear, when you see community notes fact checking, there could be 5 or 6 others that countermand the point of that note. I'm doing pretty well there. Most of my ratings are standing, but it can be messy. There are people left, right, and center of various religions, various scientific dispositions, etc., constantly hashing it out behind the scenes. So what you're seeing is only one little bit of that unless you're part of community notes. But there was one, and they were talking, of course, about Donald Trump. It was funny. They had an AI-generated image. It was clearly satirical in nature. It's like, oh, here's the cops are after Trump. Now, it's clearly no reasonable person would think that it's actually Trump running down the street trying to escape the New York police. But for some goddamn reason, the main note on that post as well, this, according to Ars Technica, I think it was, this image is actually not real. This is AI-generated. No shit, Sherlock. Again, AI is not so good that the average person wouldn't be able to tell it wasn't even a real image to begin with, let alone that it wasn't actually Trump trying to run physically from the police. There's a little bit of a microcosm there. We also see our kerfuffle over the House GOP, supposedly weaponizing the government in order to go after Alvin Bragg. That's not actually what they're doing, asshole. What they're doing is they're looking into whether the proceedings are even legitimate in the first place. If they look into it and they say, well, according to the statute of limitations, there shouldn't even be a case here, that's going to be a real problem for any further litigation. Of course, we keep hearing that today's the day. Yesterday was supposed to be the day. Nothing happened. Now they said, well, give us an extra day. We're going to indict him on Wednesday, and then next week at some point, the Secret Service will figure out how to coordinate his transfer to Manhattan and stuff like that. You've got no clue. I've got no clue. Nobody has any clue other than Bragg and people on his inner circle. Supposedly you have all this leaked material, but the problem is that at least the first batch of it was clearly wrong. NBC's original reporting days ago said that Tuesday was the big day. Tuesday came and went, and nothing. That's very interesting. Then Rand Paul decided to weigh in. And Rand Paul is hammering Alvin Bragg. Now, he goes further than virtually everyone else. Basically, it's apples to oranges, and this is why I like Rand. This is why if Trump weren't running or something, this is why I want Rand Paul as the heir apparent as opposed to DeSantis. I prefer Rand Paul. Look at the two responses here. You've got 3 kinds of Republicans right now. You've got the true TDS core like Mitch McConnell, Bitch Romney, Liz Cheney, Kinzinger, a handful of rhinos, and the real TDS sleazebags. If they say anything at all, it's to congratulate Alvin Bragg and say, we need to get Trump out of our party. Then you have the core MAGA. So Rand Paul is clearly part of that. Again, link in the description, you can see what he said for himself. That are universally standing with Trump and saying this is bullshit. Then you have the wiffle-waffle Republicans. Ron DeSantis, Kevin McCarthy, who is spearheading at least an attempted investigation, it seems, and a few others. These people, and DeSantis is definitely doing it because of his presidential ambitions. If you saw his statements the other day, refining his original statements about the Trump indictment circus, you would realize there's probably about a 90% chance he's going to jump in. I think that he's still waiting and seeing for a couple of months. May is when he's expected to potentially announce, but we'll see what happens. Coming out, and they will say that the investigation looks shoddy and we're not quite sure and not all the questions are answered. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But Orange Man bad anyway. Like Kevin McCarthy effectively calling Trump a liar but saying, but we're going to stand up for his constitutional right to a fair trial. Well, that's very interesting. An interesting way of being very non-committal. DeSantis is doing that because he's got the bright idea that he's going to be able to win the nomination by straddling the line and being like, well, I don't have TDS, but Orange Man's still kind of bad. Oh, he insulted me. Oh, he paid off a porn star or something. We'll see how that goes over. When Cernovich, who is, more, I think leans more towards the DeSantis end, is pointing out that he no longer believes that DeSantis should even bother to run, ouch. That really has got to hurt. And the overwhelming response is that he's being disingenuous. I don't even think he realizes how many people he's alienated that now won't ever vote for him. And we'll see. And then the third one here, I'm going to read a couple of tweets verbatim because it's important. By Steve Herman, W7VOA. Prosecutors in the special counsel's office have presented compelling preliminary evidence that former President Trump, now, preliminary evidence, keep that in mind, knowingly and deliberately misled his own attorneys about the retention of classified materials after leaving office, a former top federal judge wrote in a sealed filing, reports ABC News. Interesting. So now we're dovetailing this with the indictment saga that has nothing to do with classified material. That's interesting, number one. By the way, link in the description, it's archived. You can go to the live page if you want to laugh at Steve Herman. And people are pointing out, hey, where are the leaks coming from? Who actually has access to this material? Are the leaks real? Why bother reporting on it when it's speculative? Again, the first wave media reports from days ago told me that Donald Trump would currently be in Manhattan in handcuffs, being fingerprinted. That doesn't seem to have happened. The classified materials scandal, so-called, that's again, the raid on Mar-a-Lago was many, many moons ago, and nothing really seems to have come of it. I was assured that Donald Trump right now would already be in federal prison anyway, or shipped off to, exiled onto an island somewhere for treason over the J6 committee, but nothing happened there. Prior to the Alvin Bragg case that you're so scrupulously watching right now, the DOJ looked into exactly the same thing that Bragg is and declined to prosecute. Although I was assured at the time, ding dong, the bitch will be dead. Ha ha ha, in a couple more days, evil Donald will be dragged out of the Mar-a-Lago kicking and screaming. Back in the Trump presidency with Pissgate. A dozen fucking times at this point. It's like every other month you get some new concocted bullshit baloney, and it always falls through. When are people going to stop taking seriously the meandering chorus of legacy media and leftoid craptivists who do no fact-checking and endlessly replicate one another's own claims, completely sanitizing them through a game of long-term telephone? You get an original claim that says unnamed sources that we can't even corroborate say X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden you hear from somebody else 5 or 6 generations later on that original material, well, credible sources with familiarity with the matter say A, B, and C. And it doesn't even sometimes resemble the original claim, but it keeps going around. I see people say, again, some of them are DeSantis fans, saying, well, Donald Trump is manufacturing this whole thing, this whole circus in order to get attention. Which is interesting because it indicates he's a time traveler who managed to go back in time several days and create the original NBC story that he himself reacted to a day later. That's very intriguing. I didn't know that Donald Trump had time traveling abilities, although if you've read 1900, The Last President, it's, I guess, not beyond the realm of possibility. There's a whole bunch of horse shit going on. Guaranteed we will be covering some more in our live stream today. That's about all. Peace out.